Hi, I'm Mr.TieDye, and today we're going to do the sun. I've had a few requests for it, so we're going to tie it up onto a tapestry here. So what I have is a tapestry. It's been soaked in soda ash. I spun it out and then I hung it up to dry. So this here is nice and bone dry. The reason I'm doing that, I'm going to be using sinew today to tie up the rays. So anyways, we're going on a bone dry tapestry. So where I have it right now is I have folded it in half one way, like this, and I folded it in half this way. So we have one thick fold here, and then we have two skinny folds on this side. So that's what we have here, is these are the two skinny folds and the one thick fold there. This point is the center of the tapestry. So we're going to do more of the airplane folds, so I'm just going to take one of the two and I'm going to put my finger up here on the point, fold that up, and we're just laying that edge right along the other edge that's there. Smooth that out, and then we're going to fold this one under. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick it up right here and right at the point, and as you pick that up, that other side will fold right under. And make sure that it's nice and lined up there. Okay, the next part we're going to do is actually draw the sun on how we want it. So first thing you need to do is figure out just how big your tapestry is, so that you can kind of start making some measurements. The round part of the sun is going to be double whatever you mark it at here. So if we want a 20-inch sun, then we're going to mark it off at 10 inches, and then that would give us, leave a little bit of space in between the circle and your beams, and that'll give us about a foot for the beams over here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that off. We're going to do a 20-inch sun, and then we're going to do a beam from there. And then I'm going to do the other side. So we're going to do the same measurement. There's the 10 inches. And then we're going to go from 12. And this one, since I have more space here, with the suns, I like to have the beams be different size. So the other one we did at 12 inches, so we're going to add another 4 inches just to give it a little bit of difference there, excuse me, in the beams. So for the circle, the way I draw that on is I tie just a little slip knot in the sinew here, and then I use a washable marker, tighten that up on there, and then I put my pin down at my line, so that's where I marked it off at the 10 inches. And then I'm going to pinch the sinew right at the tip here, right where the middle of the tapestry is, and then I'm going to draw that circle on there. So there's the circle. Like I say, it's going to be double the width there. And then the next thing you want to do, I'm going to save that little loop, we'll use it for the first tie here, is you're going to draw your beams on. Remember, whatever you draw on here, however wide, is going to be double the spacing. So I do mine just a little bit narrow here. There's one, and this one here is going to be a little bit longer. Okay. So once you have your sun drawn on there, then we're just going to do accordion fold. So I'm going to do this beam first over here. I'm going to tie that up with sinew. So I left my loop in there. So I'm going to just put the loop on there right over my line. And I tighten that up just a little bit. And then this here is where the dowel really comes in handy. So you wrap your sinew around your dowel, and then I'm going to wrap it around there. I usually do a couple times, kind of pull it semi-tight, and then I'll do one more time, and then I'll hold this in place, and I hold the sinew, making sure that the sinew isn't wrapped over top of my finger. You want to make sure that it flows freely off of the spool here, so that you can give it a nice pull and tighten that up. And that's how I use the sinew. So this is the tail from the loop. We're going to cut that off. This tail I'm going to leave longer. I always like to leave a nice long tail so I know where to grab the sinew to unwrap it. So I'll just tie that up real quick, and there's my sinew, or my first beam of my sun. So we'll do another slip knot in this one. This just kind of helps when you're doing a specific design. If I'm doing just a plain accordion fold, I don't bother with the slip knot, but sometimes it makes it easier. Okay, so we're going to fold up the other side here, and we're just doing same old accordion fold. And the other thing, you want to make sure that you're getting all your layers here and making sure that they're nice and even there. So I got mine stacked together really nice, and I'm just making sure that when I grab them, I'm grabbing both of them. Okay. There's my sinew again. Wrap that around twice. Give it just a little bit of a pull to take out the slack. One more, and then I tighten it up. And if it wants to slip on you, just wrap it around one more time, and then you can usually get a nice pull out of that. And you can just kind of feel it lock into place, and that's what you want. Because you don't have to tie the sinew, you just pull it tight enough to lock it. And then I leave one strand longer with the knot, and then when I'm ready to, I just grab this and I unwind it off of there. Now for the center part, I'm going to tie that a little bit looser here. So I'm going to use kite string for it. Okay, once I have that done, then I'm going to scrunch up the rest of this. And just because I like to have a little bit of texture in my sun, I'm going to go ahead and pull these layers apart. And I just kind of pull them right up to the line right where I tied here. Just making sure you're not pulling them all the way out. But I open it up right to that crease right where I folded. And I just kind of peel some of the layers apart. Once you have them apart, then I kind of put them back together. And then that way I can get a nice scrunch for the middle of my sun, instead of having it look like there's lines inside the sun. I like the lines on the outside, so this part here I'm going to just tie it up that way, but the inside I want to have it kind of really modeled. So we'll get that scrunched up. and then we'll tie that off. Okay, and then the rest of the sun here. I'm going to scrunch that up a little bit. And now I'm just going to tie that together with the kite string. Okay, and there's the sun. And the other thing I forgot to say, the reason that I did it dry is because I'm going to do an ice dye on this. Just because I know that I have some really thick layers here with these beams, and then with the rest of this, I want to make sure that I get good saturation, and I have pretty good luck with the ice dyeing that way. So I'll be back once we get this set up. Okay, we're back to put some dye on the sun. So these are the rays, and this here is the round part of the sun. So what I'm going to do is use some various yellows, orange, and red for those, and then I'm going to use black, and then I have a mix of deep space and cobalt that I'll be putting on the back part here. So first off, I have one of my dust masks here. So I put this on. This here is going to protect me from any little dust particles. So if you're going to do any type of ice dyeing, or even when you're mixing dyes, it's really advisable to have a dust mask. So I'm going to explain everything I'm going to do beforehand, because when I'm wearing this mask you really can't hear me. So I'm going to have my bottles of dye. I have just a plastic spoon that I use to apply it with. Then I have a wet rag to wipe it off. I have a dry rag to dry the spoon off, so between colors I can switch off. What I'm going to do is put the yellows and oranges here in the middle, and then I'm going to put a row of red right along the lines here just to kind of outline them, and then the rest I'm going to do some cobalt, and then I'm going to sprinkle in some black. We're going to put some ice on top, and we'll go from there. So here we go. Okay, so there's the dye onto it. Now I'm going to put my little border around and then add some ice. I'll be right back. Okay, I've built up my little barrier here, and I'm just using cardboard. At some point I'm going to go get some of them vinyl strips they use for baseboards, but for now the cardboard works good. I clamp it down with some clothespins. I put a couple spacers in here just to hold the ice in a couple holes. I got a bottle back here on the back side, just pushing in on the side here, so I just kind of collapse as much as possible. That way I'm using less ice over top of everything if I'm not wasting the ice, I guess. Now once I have a light layer of ice on, then even though the tapestry has been soaked in soda ash and dried, I always like to put a little extra soda ash on. So I just sprinkle that on top of a layer here, layer of ice. And then I'll toss a little bit more ice on. And then later on I'll check it once all the ice is melted and make sure that there's color on the bottom side. If there's not, sometimes I can just add more dye and ice to it, and if that doesn't look like it'll work, then I'll flip it over and I'll add a little bit more dye and ice on the other side. But that'll be determined later, because, well, I'm still new at ice dyeing. this all melt. After it melts, then I'll let it set up for 48 hours. And then we'll wash this thing out and it'll be shown from your perspective in a couple seconds. Thank you for watching. Okay, now it's time to reveal the Sun Tapestry. Okay, here we go. And there's the Sun Tapestry.